So Martin Lawrence's daughter is dating Eddie Murphy's son, and they just announced that they were a couple recently. But the fathers already have them walking down the aisle together, because I guess they like the idea of their families being married. I don't know. But they're just kind of like putting out these jokes about who's going to pay for it. So Eddie Murphy said Martin Lawrence was going to pay for it because he just paid for his daughter's wedding. And since it's Martin's daughter, that he ought to pay for it. And Martin was like, nah, he can go ahead and cover it.
Eddie Murphy, well, these are two old head niggas, so they would succumb to the tradition of the woman's family having to pay for everything simply because in this crapshoot of pregnancy, they lucked up and had the daughter, but either one of them niggas could pay for that. Although Martin could say, nobody told you to have all them damn children to have like all these weddings to pay for. Since we're going to be talking about you people at some point, I would like to just say a better movie. I would rather see a movie about Martin and Eddie Murphy's kids getting married than this swill I subjected myself to a couple of nights ago. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Welcome to Tangentially Speaking, the podcast where we have in-depth and entertaining conversations with some, well, a lot of tangents that always, eventually connect two seemingly unrelated topics.
I am Nikki.
And I'm Nita Charisse.
Today we're reviewing You People, co-written by Kenya Barris and Jonah Hill, and directed by Kenya Barris. In this comedy, two young Los Angelinos meet, fall in love, and then rationalize their union to family members who are hung up on their racial and religious differences. The movie, which features a cast of longtime comedic greats, including Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is streaming exclusively on Netflix. Okay. So I don't know why I was able to stay awake through this film. I think at the beginning, I was like having fun listening to their podcast conversation, and then the little exchange at the church, David Duchovny on that piano.
Oh. I don't know what that motherfucker is on, but he played his almost non-part so well.
Yeah,
he turned his nothingness into something way more than Nia Long did. Now, I don't trash Black women, so maybe, she wasn't given enough. Maybe she's just like paying some bills. I don't know. But of course, she wasn't given that much to work with. David Duchovny wasn't either. But the way he just was like, what the fuck are you doing? Sometimes I wasn't sure if they just wrote the character like that because he has a drug problem, and so it just fit in. But he was perfect. He was perfect. But I think that he knows how he's regarded in the culture, and much like Terrence Howard with all those memes, he's just having fun with it and just playing into it. He has read the tongue-in-cheek criticisms about himself, and he's just leaning into it, and we love it. We love it for him.
Well, yeah. I didn't know that there was that thing, but he tickled me. He was the funniest character in the film for me. And then
I agree.
It kind of just was like, what am I watching from here? Like Eddie Murphy's portrayal of first of all, Eddie Murphy is Catholic, and I'm sure he's not an actual practicing Catholic, but his portrayal of a Muslim person, like there was no Muslim meeting at all. Like, did they even talk to anyone with any type of Islamic faith at all? They just kind of played on the stereotype of like, oh, if you're a Black Muslim, then you got into the religion because you're angry and you're Black and you always have angry things to say about Blackness and all of that. Like even Lauren London, when she would have her little speeches with Jonah Hill, it was just like, really? You're just gonna like it was totally kind of it was not believable at all. And it was just farcical. And so I got through the rest of it, like, you know, through the little speeches at the end that was supposed to like rectify the situation and learn them right about race relations and all of that. And then I kind of just I stood back from it and I thought, okay, my parents would probably enjoy this film and probably would regard it as like, you know, a tether to youth and hipness, kind of like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. and they would think, oh, you know, that's nice. They came together. They got together at the end because, you know, at the end there was a wedding, and you know, weddings are happy when people just come together and make everything all right. And it was a movie that I was just like, okay, it's intergenerational. It is, because the Drake humor at the beginning between Jonah Hill's character and Mo.
Sam J. She's a comedian. She's got a show on HBO Max and Peacock.
Yes. So the banter between Sam J and Jonah Hill, it was funny. You know, I enjoyed it. But the old person watching that didn't know what the hell was going on. So they made sure to pack in plenty for that older generation, including the favorite term, you people, which they entitled it.
That was also funny to me, because it's about this couple, but it's really about their parents, like their families. And those are the people that would say you people. I have no problem. Yeah. No problem at all with that. But Jesus Christ.
It was designed to meet them people where they were. I think
like even with old people I feel like there's an older man, our dad's age right now, like, give us motherfuckers some credit. Like, you're the generation of the original that this is straining to do. It's so obvious that they were like, guess who's coming to dinner, but lit. It's just like, Jesus. It was trash. There were elements that I liked. If it had been about him just growing his podcast and them achieving the kind of notoriety that causes people to just, a lot of people be listening to your podcast at the same time, like, okay, y'all have truly made it. I don't know when this shit happened. I didn't really see too many things happening, but you motherfuckers made it. The movie could have been about just that, and I would have been fine. The movie could have been a long-ass double date between Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and David Duchovny, and I would have been fine. It could have been shot in a restaurant the entire time, with them just being the talented people that they are. This shit that they were trying to do, I beg of you, Kenya Barris, like, do a little research, nigga. Like, just a little. Just
he wasn't trying to do that. He was
just a little. If not just to represent your side better. Okay. Now, this is coming out of just my own opinion. I did not see this written down anywhere, but we know that both Kenya Barris and Jonah Hill wrote this movie together. I've seen some criticisms of the Jewish side from Jewish people, and it seems like pretty well founded. I mean, you know, they know what they're talking about. But if I knew that I was writing something with somebody, like normally, like when you have a writing team, you don't know like who wrote what. But in something like this, where a Black and a Jew write something about a Black and a Jew,
what?
You don't even have pride of like just that, making sure that your shit looks good because your neighbor shit looks good. With Jonah Hill, even though this movie sucked, there were details in there. Like you could tell, like there were little touches and details that if you are Jewish or if you are very well versed in that culture, in that community, it would be like, oh yeah, that thing that happens, whatever it is, you could feel it. Even though I overall did not really like this movie, you could tell like the Jewish side came with it. And Kenya Barris
they
was just like
their culture.
Muslim, Denzel Washington, Malcolm X.
Angry blackness. And then when Eddie Murphy first appeared and he had on that Fred Hampton t-shirt, I was just like, okay, this is gonna be like, how much input did Eddie have? Because like I didn't really expect him to be the funniest part of the film anyway, because this last appearance on Saturday Night Live, Coming to America, like all of his last few projects, like the last good project he's legitimately had was Life. That shit was funny. Why? Because
him and Martin.
He was just, yes, him and Martin. And he was still cussing Eddie. You know, he had kids, but it's like, come on now. Your oldest daughter is old enough to get married.
Don't blame them children.
This kid. Well,
don't blame the kids. He just doesn't need it anymore.
But this is when he said he was moving away from cussing and all of that because he was a parent now. So he started making those films. The kids are older now. So I'm just like, can you be funny again? But yeah, it Coming to America, it was a fun ride because of the nostalgia. But the same jokes were rehashed, the same lessons about cultural acceptance and awareness and all of that. Actually, there was less respect for it in Coming to America than there was in this movie. Him coming in and saying like, why are all the black folks light skinned with curly hair? Like, dude,
okay, you don't think that sounds like a you people? To me, that sounded like, I don't know, that was not as egregious to me. It was kind of random, but it does echo how a Archie Bunker type might feel when they read those statistics about how in a certain amount of years, like everybody is going to look like this, and it looks like a slightly darker Drake. I could see somebody like him that is like hyper like aware, but because this is not good writing, it was not folded in well. But to go back to the thing about his kids.
No, let me finish. It was ridiculous coming out of his mouth because look at who he married and he had his kids by. Like, you chose a certain shade of woman to procreate with.
But he's not playing Eddie Murphy in the movie. He's whatever the hell his name was in here. I didn't bother to learn it.
No, but still, like, knowing Eddie Murphy and the things that are coming out of his mouth, even in this film, it's just like none of this is reflecting you or your brand of humor at all, really. And if it is, like, what has happened to you? Like, why are you just calling this in? And like, what? It just didn't fucking make sense.
Because Kenya Barris wrote it, who is obsessed with talking about light skin. Black is just based on him. Now, I read somewhere that his ass is biracial. I did not know that because it doesn't, like, I wouldn't think that. But his wife is also biracial. He is obsessed with it. And I would entreat you, if you haven't already, to watch Black as Fuck, another Netflix thing. And I feel like it should have been put out, hey guys, before you watch this movie, watch Black as Fuck, and you really won't be mad. You'll just be tired. And I really think that should have come out. I saw him all in it. So what he did was, like, what they should have named this movie was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner-ish, because that's what the fuck it was. It was just Kenya Barris sloppily, like, just writing things and just, okay, like, this is what it's going to be. Let me do a listicle of everything that I know about Black Muslims, and then not try to connect anything to, like, reality or research. And it's Eddie Murphy, and it's going to be funny. Both the motherfuckers married the same type of person. So I guess that's why, to me, it gels. Not as Eddie, but it's like, well, of course, look who wrote the movie. This nigga is obsessed with, like, I'm Black, but I'm affluent. And oh, yeah. But then to add that on top of, you can tell he has talent. I know the brother can write, but it's like he is not trying, like, at all. And I was just mad, like, you couldn't represent for the Black side better. Like, Jonah Hill, to me, just wrote his child. Like, as far as I know, he did not struggle. I think he came up pretty middle class, pretty, like, where they're secular Jews. It's like, we are Jewish, but, like, and we practice, but still pretty, like, lax with certain things that may be other Jewish folk would not really allow. But I still felt like the Jewish side had like, this is fully realized. It still sucked. The Black side was horrible. Why not just make Eddie Murphy a militant Black man? He did not have to be a Muslim. He could have just been a militant Black man that would never want his child to marry a Jew because he's got feelings about that. I don't think they had to have the one-to-one, well, this is a religion, so like, what's the Black one? All right, let's slap it on. And then if you were going to do that, could you get like Minister X from any Black city and pay that dude to be a consultant, please? Please. Or could you just watch Malcolm X and then write this movie?
No. I
was so mad.
I didn't even realize that he's responsible for, I didn't see the barbershops. I didn't see really any of the barbershops. I just wasn't interested.
Yep, that's him.
The Soul, I actually liked that movie for the kids. It wasn't bad.
That was very good.
Coming to America, he's responsible for, and Girls Trip. And of course, You People. But
Girls Trip was good. So I wonder, like, because what is her name? That movie was actually Tracy Oliver's. You know, okay. Kenya Barris is like a little bit up. You know how sometimes like maybe he advised, but you kind of like need like a heavier name. Tracy Oliver is Issa Rae's best friend and played on the web series. Her nemesis in the office is this light-skinned girl who was just horrible to her. That's Tracy Oliver. And so Girls Trip put her on the map. I will not attribute that to him because that movie was good.
He's also responsible for America's Next Top Model. Now,
and he wrote on Girlfriends.
Yeah, I didn't watch Girlfriends. I really didn't watch many. I didn't watch Blackish. I maybe saw a couple of episodes of Blackish. I watched one episode of Grownish. I actually like Intergalactic. He's responsible for Intergalactic. That's a good one. But yeah, I'm not into Kenya Barris, so I just like, yeah, we ain't kinfolk, you know? Like, I felt like this movie was designed to meet a lot of people right where they are, and none of them are us. And so I appreciated the few funny parts that there were. And I really don't know how I managed to stay awake during the entire time.
This baffles me. Baffles me. I don't know.
So
trash.
What cracked me up was the chatter online, because people's biggest gripe was there's no way Lauren London would date Jonah Hill. And I'm just like, well, Jermaine Dupri did bag Janet Jackson, and Jay-Z is Joe Camel dressed up as Jean-Michel Basquiat, and he's with Beyonce. How the fuck did that happen? It's kind of amazing. So, like, I was willing to suspend my you are so pissed off. I was willing to suspend my disbelief about Jonah Hill and Lauren London, and people were talking about their chemistry. Now, I watched their what? People were talking about their chemistry, or rather their lack thereof. And I was just like, they just feel like two people joking around in a film, in a comedy. Like, that's what they felt like. I just imagined, like I said, I kept imagining my parents watching this. They would watch it. They would not get all of the humor. They would have spent, and a lot of people like them would have been like, is that a girl or a guy talking about Mo? That would have been, that's why Eddie Murphy made that joke at the end, you know?
Of course.
Yeah. And so it was that joke that told me, I'm like, okay, they're just meeting people with there is an audience for this, just like there's an audience for Blackish and Grownish and Mixedish and all of that. And a lot of people watched this because there were just all these headliners. So they just made a quick buck or whatever. Yep. I don't know, whatever deal they're like, yeah, like, it's just, it is what it is.
Kenya Barris is fulfilling that big ass Netflix deal that he got. He and what's the woman's name? Shonda Rhimes. They both got these like amazing gargantuan deals from Netflix that started to scare all the networks because they were like, oh my God. Now she's doing better than he is. I feel like he came with Black as Fuck, so much hype. I was so excited to see it. And this was happening like 2020. So like everybody was really, really like super into streaming even more. And I'll tell you what I tell everybody else, Black as Fuck doesn't get good until I think it's episode 4. And then after that, it's just like, I have to see like how this, episode 4 is actually really good. Other writers are in it, Malcolm D. Lee and Issa Rae and other, and it's about Tyler Perry, like, should we be mad at Tyler Perry? And the more I see of Kenya Barris, it's like, yeah, that episode's not going to age well because you could be in that hot seat now, son. But he is just, he's fulfilling however many projects he owes them because, and I have to research the figure, it was a ridiculous amount that they gave him because he was so successful with Blackish, which in my opinion, just watch the first 4 seasons and then stop. It went on for like 25 seasons, not really, but it should have stopped at 4. No, maybe like 7 or 8. It was a really good, it was well done.
I could not get through the first season because like I'm a Black person growing up in California, who grew up in California. And I was just like, have you talked to Black Californians, right? Like
I think Kenya Barris is a Black Californian.
Is he?
I think because Black as Fuck was like basically his life. So there was a lot of Blackish in it, but it was like his actual life. And I thought he was. Yeah, he was born in Inglewood. So I'm just like, he was born in Inglewood and went to Clark Atlanta. So I'm just like, did you just stay in a protective bubble like your entire? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so irritated right now. Like I'm irritated because so anyway, I could have finished that episode like earlier, but I stopped to watch. And I was excited because I'm like looking at these names and I never expect a perfect ass movie, but I expect like watchable. I expect watchable. At a certain point, I finished that movie because the anger, and if anybody who knows me, anger is a good motivator because when I'm angry, not like sad angry, but like angry, vocabulary improves, house is clean, like I am motivated. So I was motivated like, oh no, this is some prime hate watching here. But I hadn't heard anything good about the movie and I was trying to avoid things, but I don't know what audience it was. It must be an audience that doesn't even use Facebook because I saw nothing positive. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I have enjoyed movies that people have felt this way about. Eddie Murphy's a genius. Like, Nia Long, I'd love to see her in anything. And just coming off of Best Man, it was like, okay, like, let's see. And then when I was like, she's probably not going to have much to do because she's just the wife of the daughter getting married. What material could you mine there? And it was very predictable. She had most of her scenes in the spa because, of course. So, it was just really trash. And Kenya Barris, to me, isn't even trying. Now, on to Jonah Hill and Lauren London. Whoever made the movie or like did the shooting, they knew that none of us wanted to see them fuck. Because if you notice, they just kept cutting away to their fucking feet. They never showed them. And I was so grateful because when they started to kiss, I said out loud, ugh, and then it went to their feet. And then they started again and it went to their feet. I looked at my husband and was like, they know. We don't want to see this. I'm not mad that they're friends, but they were better, like, clowning each other. Like Jonah Hill seems like somebody that legit, I would crack up and like look forward to hanging out with him. I want to be on this podcast. Sam J, like, of course, I always like her. Yeah. But like even Lauren London, she didn't play the typical like, I'm a female in a rom-com and I'm clumsy. Like, there was none of that shit happening. There wasn't even the Black rom-com trope. Like she wasn't like a banker. She didn't like run a magazine. She wasn't like she was a fashion designer, but she was at her house. She was hustling. She was like trying to I liked her character, but when they were together, I thought, is he going to want to start a podcast with her? Like, with love? So that's why they were like, let's just show their feet, which was also very upsetting, but not as upsetting as if like he touched her body and like she like willingly just like let him do that. No, I didn't want to see it. I was so mad. I was so mad.
I loved her interaction with the dude she broke up with. And I wish there would have been more of that, you know, just showing that side of her. Because she just turned into, I'm going to say angry Black things to this white person to get my point across about, I'm like, shut up.
After just now being totally fine.
Yeah. But when he said, yo, did you like, what did you do? Why'd you ghost me? Did you like, he asked her if she did something. She's like, no, I wouldn't do anything like that. She's like, I changed the number.
Even their meet cute. Like, it was really funny. Like when she was just like, oh, so you see a Black, which I thought it was kind of like overblown. But when he was like, no, you legit look like her. And then they showed the person, she was like, oh shit, like that does look exactly like me. Like that was really funny. I was feeling it, but I was still thinking, this just seems like they would be like really good friends. Like he makes it like he hits it big with his podcast. On the episode where she styled their clothing, and then like she's also on the come up too. And then it's like the Three Musketeers. We're gonna kick this world down. This man has 2 Black women on his side, and he also seems to be not that much of a problem. Can we see that movie, please? Please. You know, but I agree. The scene where she was leaving the other guy, he was funny. She was funny. And it was a little bit of coming to America because it's like her dad is this involved in her life. Like that, like the guy said that he's in a book club with her daddy. Like, it's like he's controlling. He reminds me of John Amos's character in Coming to America, or James from Good Times, for those of you who don't know his real name. Yeah. So it was just like little touches where I was still like, okay, all right. It was too damn long. It's like, this movie sucks. Wrap it up. Why is this still happening? Why is this still going on? I got tired of him hazing Jonah Hill, and I don't care for white dudes, but it was like, all right, bro, like
it was excessive.
It was nonsensical. Like it wasn't.
Like, what are you upset about?
Typical stuff like that upset. But that's not to say that there weren't funny. There were funny moments because of who the people are.
Like when Jonah took them to Roscoe's, that was the actual authentic Roscoe's.
I was like, I went there to that one. I almost left my seat.
Okay, like I said, as a Californian who spent time in Southern California as well, having grown up in Northern California, I was just like, oh, that's the actual Roscoe's. They showed downtown Long Beach, you know, the office that he worked in, that's right near where the World Trade Center is, and the pier and stuff. So yeah, they were showing actual parts of LA, and I was just like, oh yeah, you know, I love LA.
Probably all his ideas too.
But he
was good in that scene, like the awkwardness, you know, it reminded me of like meet the parents kind of like.
Yeah, like when he said he went to check on the wait staff and she was upset because he interrupted her smoke break. Like, that's funny.
Honestly, funny, but it was funny because of him. Jonah Hill is really funny. Like
Jonah Hill is funny.
He's really funny, and I think that he actually, well, not I think, you know, being around a lot of comedy bros, whatever. He is one of those dudes, much like Andy Samberg, that is very Black adjacent. Like they love hip hop, but the only reason why they don't get on my nerves, well, Andy Samberg gets on my nerves less than Jonah Hill did in this movie, but like maybe that was that character. Only reason why they don't get on my nerves is because you can tell that there is a love and a respect for it, and they're not just like, I'm a nigger, like I'm acting like a wigger, you know, like they really do know references to the third bar in this person's song and things like that. So I think that's why, like, even him saying that woman was mad at him because having this smoke, I'm like, his ass has done that before, like, or he knows like what that is, but he's playing somebody that thought it would be a good idea to go bother any Black woman that's sitting down on the job smoking. I wouldn't mess with her. I would mentally like cuss her out, like, come take my order, please. But I ain't messing with her because I want my food to only be my food. I don't want any extra shit that I didn't order, you know, like from your mouth. But he was enjoyable, and I'm just mad about the other side. And I feel like with Eddie Murphy, I really don't think that the cursing thing is a problem because, like you said, his kids have grown up. I think then it was an issue, and now it's just. I just feel like he's like, I'm Eddie Murphy. And he's really good on the fly. But I feel because there were some moments at the dinner table scene where it was like, there's Eddie. I just got a glimpse of Trading Places. I just got a glimpse of like the Eddie Murphy like that I love. But the premises were so weak. It's like you couldn't even really like improv that well off of it. And then there were big swaths of the movie where I just turned to my husband. I was like, none of this is on the page. And sometimes you say that and you're witnessing magic. And sometimes it's like, nah, for real. Can somebody come in here with a laptop? Stat.
I just really wish that maybe Kenya Barris could have directed it. If he wanted to direct it, it's fine. He knows cinematography. He should have had somebody younger and hipper write the black side and consulted with an actual Muslim person if that person was going to be Muslim. Because like the parts where Jonah Hill, you could see Jonah Hill's footprint very clearly. It was younger. It was hipper. It was a little bit more cognizant. I mean, even I'm not sure why they even chose to play a Kanye West song at the wedding, because I'm just like, when was this movie made? When did it get, like, what?
It was, so I read an article that said that the filmmakers had to be convinced, like they agreed to take that song out of the trailer, but they left it in the movie. I can tell you what that is. That's Kenya fucking Barris. And it's kind of same little Dave Chappelle DNA, like, what's that? The sign says, don't press this button. What? Huh? I'm a troublemaker. I'm a maverick. I'm a press it anyway. They just did it to piss people off. And the person who wrote the article at J Weekly is pissed. I was like, I don't know who you are, Jewish brother, but we can have coffee. Like the article, I love it. Like it starts off, it's just, I think I linked to it, but if not, I'm looking at the tab now, so I'll put it in there. But it was like, his premise is 2022 was a very fraught time for Black and Jewish relations, and he like names like some of the bigger things, and then he said, one would hope that that there would be a piece of art or like something like some sort of media or entertainment that could kind of like bring that together, which reminded me of the comment that you made with Rap and ATL. Like sometimes it takes art to bring people around, like artifacts. And they were like, times like these, we would hope for, you know, like some kind of like language he used. And then he was like, You People is not that movie. And I was like, oh, this is off to a rip-roaring start. And I'm already in the tank for whatever the fuck you're about to say. But I mean, it was like, it was literally just to bother people, because obviously it was during the time of this happening, because they had to be asked, please don't put that in the trailer. And they were probably convinced, and they were like, maybe you won't make money. Like if you're already pissing people off before they watch it. Yes, there are sadists like me that will watch something because they're looking forward to hate watching it. But there may be some people that are just super turned off. So they took it out of the trailer and left it in the movie. And I don't think that was something that was known.
When they played it halfway through the film, and I'm just like, this is very interesting. Why? And so it made 2 appearances in this film.
And they were both on board.
Wanted to put it on the trailer. Oh my God. People are crazy.
Yeah, it's that thing that people do. A lot of comedians where a lot of people call them brave or whatever, but it's like, to me, it's like, I taught kindergarten and that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I want that toy because she wants. It's like somebody told you no. So now it is the work of your life to have this happen. And tomorrow it's going to be something else. I'm not impressed by that. I don't think that you're like, you know, he's going against the status quo. No, you're a tall kindergarten child. Now, here's some graham crackers and here's some juice. And here's your little mat, because that's what you need. Let's put on some calming music. It's nap time. And it's just, I'll never watch this again. I was mad about when I did have to go back so I could like clarify. I was just mad the whole time. And I enjoy being angry. And the anger wasn't even enjoyable. And that's the real tragedy of this whole thing.
Yeah, I watched it the first time. I was just like, wow, I stayed awake through this. Why? And then watching it the second time, I was just like, this is not even one of those things that might get better with age. Like, it's like it's a one and done type of film. But like, if for no other reason that you need background noise and you happen to have a lull in whatever much more important thing that you're doing at the same time. And it happens to fall like where there's like one of the funnier parts, like the David Duchovny parts. I also did appreciate, like, at the dinner, was it the rehearsal dinner or whatever that function was where their whole family came together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I did appreciate how all of the guests had a complaint.
They did get the vibe right as far as like the family, like each family, feeling kind of superior to the other family, but like for no reason. Like, it isn't like, well, these are known cannibals and we feed like needy children. It's just like, y'all are all you just don't like anybody like that's not you. Just kind of like that tribalism that happens. I thought that was really on point. The people getting married kind of, their buttholes clenched because it's like, I really hope that Uncle so-and-so isn't himself today. Or like the horror that you feel when two certain people, like you see them talking and it's like, no, they can never talk.
Moral of the story, make sure your girlfriend gets along with your wife. Like, oh, I should have told her that.
Yes. To where you see the other family just like, okay. And like, you can see the ways that the family will look at something that your family member did, not you, but then like graft it onto you, like that DNA is in it. And then like, you can see like the mother is at least thinking about what will the grandchildren be like? Or just that moment when you look around and you realize that you don't control shit, that like these people are mixing. And for whatever reason, you thought while you were planning that you were really going to be able to be like a puppet master, but you do want to procreate with this person, like, because you know them, you fell in love with them. And then you see where they came from. And you, number one, really want to research and find out if they're adopted. And number two, if you're not adopted, how did this not touch you? And then you look at the other person like, maybe it did, and it just hasn't come out yet. And you're eventually going to be this. That was real. Like, that was like, it was in a different situation, it would have been triggering. But because this movie was so horrible, I was longing for some kind of connection. So I even delighted in what should have been a triggering scene for me, because I had all those thoughts so many years ago, and it wasn't fun. But for whatever reason, I think it kept me in it, because I'm like, okay, so somebody has experienced something in this movie. They got that right. I was happy when I saw Mike Epps, like I usually am, because Mike Epps has grown very nicely into uncle. Just uncle that's just going to make things fun and do a lot of stuff that he should not do. He's not going to apologize for it, but he gets away with it because that nigger is funny. He's always been funny. Hopefully he will always be funny. I was so glad to see him because he also played pretty much the same character in Jumping the Broom. Did you see that?
Nah.
It was I don't even know when that movie came out, but it was with Paula Patton and
that's probably why I didn't see it. Hold on. Yeah. Because I was just like, was that the movie with Paula Patton?
It was Paula Patton and the Laz Alonso. Gorgeous Laz Alonso. It wasn't a bad movie, but Mike Epps enters that movie and turns it up, and he's playing the same character. He's just younger, and his grade was like just coming in. But he basically just shows up at their wedding and is just so stupid, and then sleeps with somebody on the other side of the family, and is just like ratchet. But he was great. He was a little more subdued in this movie, but I like how he sees his lane, and he's just like, I'm just gonna lay all in this lane. And it didn't feel phoned in. It felt like he was actually like, I know exactly who this is. And because it's me.
I'm trying to remember why I hadn't seen that movie. 2011. It came out in May of 2011. I didn't want to see any wedding movies because that was the year of my wedding, and I didn't want to be having mine. And I was planning it and making crafts and all this other shit and doing color schemes. And
you were in it. But I was beautiful, I must say.
Nita Charisse, as long as you've known me,
the jig is up.
Have you ever seen me say, "Oh, let's go wedding dress shopping," or "Hey, I just picked up this new bridal magazine," or "Hey, you know what? The kind of ring that I like." Never.
As a matter of fact, I knew that I would be doing all those things, not with you. Because everything you said, I'm like, sure, yeah. But I never. I mean, I may tell you something. I'm like, she's not. And we never even talked about it. I was just like, that's not who I can go to. I'm so glad I have sisters and a mama. And
do you think it was weird? Because I seriously never thought about it. Like, it never even crossed my mind. It was not something I ever wanted.
So I thought, okay. So I thought it was a situation where, like, you know how people, like, they are a person, it's genuine, that is really them, they're not putting on. But you meet somebody that you are willing to, like, okay, I will relent. Because I remember when you were saying that, like, you were making all those things, I had my usual response, like, girl, why? Like, you can just buy it. And when you were like, no, like, this really makes me happy, I was like, oh, that is why this is cool with her. Because she's making all her own shit. I think that's insane. Because, you know, I don't know if it's been documented on this podcast, but mine is a consumer. Like, even when I can do a thing, I'm not doing it. No. I don't want to. But I kind of thought it was, at least I get to craft, compromise, which for what you were getting ready to do, there's a lot of that. Either that or you have like one of those marriages where it's like, why'd y'all even get married? I could have just dated. Like, you literally live in this state and he lives in this state and you're saying it's working. Of course it is, because you're not doing anything that you would do like in a regular marriage. So I was like, okay, she's compromising. Because you were still yourself. Even though you had a wedding and like we legit had to get bridesmaids dresses, then I found out there would have to be two. You still were you about it. Like, now, had you called me up and you were like, girl, I finally found the shade of turquoise that I was looking for. And, you know, and like sending me swatches where it's like, these are all exactly the same. You never went to that route. You were like, this picture of the dress, and that's the site. You're gonna need to do that and handle that. It would be helpful if it was by this time. Yeah, I think it's cute too. Yeah, you know, I kind of wanted something that, you know, like you could probably like wear afterwards. And I would ask like all these follow-up questions, and you'd be like, I don't know, just what a dress. And so I was like, yes, that's still her, because it was like, here's the dress, and then you were like, oh, there's also gonna be, and you would apologize before making a request of me. And I'm the one, you know, I am who I am. I'm a Southern girl. So it's like, yes, I will do all these things. What should I buy? Such and such. Like, I would ask you that and you'd be like, oh, I don't know. Like, just wear this dress. And then you were like, oh, and I'm so sorry for this, but you're gonna have to wear like another one because, you know, like Africa and stuff. So like, there's going to be just like the family. And I was like, oh, really? And you were like, yeah, so there's a family print. And you were presenting it to me like you thought I was going to be like, this is entirely too much. I'm not doing this shit. And like, you would have been okay if I responded like that. And I was like, I get to wear another dress? I'm in. And you would apologize. And I would be, so that's why there was no alarm bells.
The funny thing that I learned, like, from marriage counseling, because in order to get like a discount on our license or something like that, we went to marriage counseling at like, so the state of Georgia has this, you get a special discount, you go to premarital counseling, blah, 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 you show proof of it. So we went. And the thing that I got out of that is that we took these personality tests while we were there. And the personality test told me that I was the type of person where if I have a goal, whatever steps need to be taken along that way to do it, I will do that shit without complaint. And then once I reach my goal, well, all bets are fucking off. And that's
your tasks.
the marriage wedding shit. I am like, my wedding dress, I took that motherfucker off and put it in the bag. It's been in that shit ever since. I didn't even bother to get it washed.
But you know what? So is mine. Like I said that I was going to do all that, but it's like much as I love all that stuff, it's like, yeah, but I need like somebody to just do everything. Like,
she's in the closet right now, and I've never wanted to. I didn't even see the video. I've never even watched the wedding video.
Watch it. Take it from me. If there are things that happen that upset you, you will see it all over your face.
There were a lot of things that upset me, but I just wanted to get it over with. I didn't want the shit in the first place. Like I said, since you know me, I have never said anything ever about a wedding. Like, I don't even like going to weddings. Like, it's a miracle that I was in a wedding. The only wedding I've been in is yours, and it's only because you asked me. You know, only because, like, everything else, like all the weddings that I went to were with my ex, and you know, I was his date. That was it. But I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't want to be there, didn't want to be watching it, didn't want to be participating, didn't want to be running errands, no, like, that's not me. The fun that I got out of my own wedding was the crafting and the color coordination. That's it.
You were not a bride, like, at all. Like, one time I asked you a follow-up question and you were like, oh shit, I guess that's something I have to think about. Like, that's not the usual, like most brides, it's like, here are the 5 things that you need, and I'm going to follow up. Because one time you were like, I don't know. Because I said, so like shoes, like anybody, you were like, I'm not going to tell you what shoes to wear. And I was like, okay, what color?
You know what I did? A lot of the research that I dwelled on was like, where did all this wedding shit come from? And it came out of Princess Diana. Yeah. Princess Diana's wedding. And I'm like, so I'm having to stress over these fucking details, you know, because of her.
Yeah. It was because the world watched that wedding, like the train, and because of how the royal office works, where, you know, they'll put out like every detail. Everybody wanted to do the same thing because you have a real life, like the whole prince thing, you know, like a princess.
I never got the memo to do that. Like, I didn't even play wedding. No, I did have Legend and Calvin. They took their wedding
picture.
But you know what? The extent of their wedding was them getting dressed and taking the picture. That was it. I didn't have a ceremony. I didn't do that as a kid. So it never even occurred to me that I would ever even have to do shit like that. Like, my parents eloped. Once I found out that it came from that, I was even more like, I really have to craft, because crafting is my therapy. I crafted every goddamn thing. I crafted the save the dates. I crafted the invitations. I crafted I had my mom's running to the store to get flowers as I made the fucking bouquet myself.
Hey, I remember.
Cheapskate, because I'm like, I'm not paying for that shit. I'll make that shit myself. I was about to make my own wedding cake. My mom was just like, oh, don't do that. That'll be bad luck. I'm like, I don't want to do any of this shit. It's like, how do you know it's going to come out? All it's going to do is end up in poop in the toilet anyway.
I of course wanted to do all of mine but even though I learned a long time ago that it came from Princess Di, but I didn't claim that. I was like, whatever, because there's shit. Because there's stuff that has been done that was done in the South already before she married that doorknob looking man. So I was like, okay, like maybe the obsession, but just the way that it's about families coming together, you know, the second line at the end, really good food.
You can't just walk away from that. does he look like a fucking doorknob? I need to understand.
Well, not a doorknob in its natural state where, it like protrudes from the door like that. But like if you take the doorknob off and then like stand it up like that, he looks like a doorknob. Like put the doorknob vertical and then put like a suit on him to where to where that part is the head. And then you're a crafter, get some like dark brown yarn and just throw it on there. That's Prince Charles or King Charles now, right? Harry Paul.
Now I'll never look at doorknobs the same way. And see, you fucked me up before because I never look
With
at
the outlets. They're screaming people.
I didn't think that they were screaming before. I just thought that they were like, oh, like surprise. No.
They are screaming. They're in pain. I was like, are we sure that they can't feel this shit? Like the electricity going through here. They're so traumatized that even when nothing is plugged in, they're still screaming. It's like, oh, humans are a heartless bunch, aren't we? Okay, now plug that up. My phone is about to die. Much like I think that outlet did a long time ago. Also, in keeping with the theme of the royal family, what's the grandfather's name that died? And when I heard the news, I was like, I thought he had been dead. I just thought he was a reanimated corpse. They do weird shit. I never questioned it.
But you know what? We've said this before. It was because DMX. Remember he had died on the same day. And so and
they're like, we must finally make the announcement. Although he has been dead for quite some time, we're going to go on and kill him now. Yeah, because DMX's death, like, I remember it affected people that I'm like, wow, these people, whoa. And of course, all the wine swilling white moms, who love Y'all Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind so much. They were all very sad. So many sorority lines, white sorority lines, upset, much like black sorority lines would be whenever the makers of Nuck If You Buck, when they die, so many sex shows, so many slow stepping. I'm not keeping, I'm bucking, ready to fight. Like the Black South as a whole. Somebody's going to stand up, maybe me, and be like, you may not have crossed the line, but today we are all a part of the line. Now, Nuck If You Buck.
Black excellence. When you're compelled to prove yourself over and over again. Yeah, that's me. Black excellence. Sure, you pulled a solid 3.9 this semester, but next semester, you're looking for 4.0. I try. Black excellence. You started high school at 12. Yeah. Finished college at 19. And at 21, you're on your way to a master's degree. Look at you, girl. Go on, girl. You're poised and ready to join other strong Black women in taking over the world and training less qualified white people to be your boss. Wait, what? Black excellence is handcrafted in our vineyards in New Orleans. What are vineyards doing in New Orleans? Overachieving. And that's why Black excellence wine is made especially for us. Because we stay showing out here. We got to, or else. I have a nice tall glass of Black excellence. You about to need it. I thought Black excellence was... Black excellence is wine. Black excellence. Girl, it's just wine.
We rate the show.
I started off wanting to give it 3 stars because 3 stars was basically your hate watch. But the more we talked about it, I put it down to 2.5 because I forgot how mad I was and how little research was actually done. Because when I thought about it again, I was like, well, I continued to watch it, like I finished it. So but it was because I was angry and I just wanted to hate watch it. And I also wanted to watch it to just like gather evidence for like why it was trash. And then as we start talking, it's like, yeah, no, they don't deserve that half a star. So it's 2.5 stars because I don't think that Kenya Barris tried. And maybe Jonah Hill fucked up there somewhere too. The person who wrote the J Weekly article certainly thinks so, but I just don't feel like I can totally speak on that. I felt like I could see the Jonah Hill parts and they seemed authentic. Now you might get a Jewish person to say, no, because that was wrong. And I respect that. But from what I saw, he did better for the Jew side than Kenya did for the Black side.
Okay. I gave that motherfucker a solid 2. I'm just like, somehow that movie managed to stay on. So it was watchable. Like I said, it could be on as background noise if you must have a television on during some sort of function because you think there may be a lull in the conversation, and hopefully the lull happens during one of the more funnier parts. But if it's just like, it was one of those movies that actually could have benefited from a laugh track to remind you that you're supposed to be watching a comedy.
Or even that could have benefited, since you're saying that, could have benefited from being a series, a little short series, like to where it wouldn't be weird to have a laugh track. Because if I was watching a movie and a laugh track came out of nowhere, I would think like, what the fuck is happening? Am I in Black Mirror? Am I the show? I would immediately like look out that way. Like, are there people watching me? That would be weird. But like, maybe it could have been a series now. And I'm saying that knowing that it could have just prolonged my misery, or maybe would have forced certain people to fill in the little movie template that he used to write this thing. God damn it. So upset. You have that much sway. Like when I tell you the name is respected in Hollywood and you just keep like, it's like you could, what the fuck? The only thing I like about him is that he seems to give up and coming people, like he will put them in his writer room. So I appreciate that.
We'll be glad to kindly come in and do some research, reach out to people.
Work with other writers. I will give that to him.
Yes. You don't have to you don't have to bear the burden by yourself, man. You don't. Okay? Yeah. You know what? Your cinematography, the shots during the film, beautiful, exquisite. It was lovely. Just wonderful. That's your wheelhouse, man. You want us to come and write about the culture from the culture's perspective? We're here and ready for you. Is that our show? Is that our show? Yes.
Thank you for listening to Tangentially Speaking. This podcast is recorded and produced by Nita Charisse and Nikki Ebo. Our theme music is Lush Living by Martin Landstrom. Our artwork was created by Prime Vice Studios. You can learn more about this intellectual property development agency at primevice.com. Find us on your favorite podcast player and YouTube. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.